Know what you're looking at. You guys should be able to see me in there. I'm the red, orange, and yellow guy. We are literally looking for cold spots with this particular camera. So this is a real FLIR Pro 1. Basically what that means for you, this is what firemen use to actually help save people. So again, this is not a phone app that is creating a thermal imaging effect. This is the real deal. So again, we're looking for blue and black spots on this particular camera. The person using it will do a few starts and stops for us. Just because as great as the hardware is, the software sucks. If we record for too long, we're going to lose some footage, and we don't want to do that. The other way I have this guy set up is there's a blue dot bouncing around the screen. That blue dot is giving us the coldest spot in the frame at that particular moment. So it's, well, that's going to be the blue area. There's a blue dot literally just bouncing around. So what that blue dot is going to show us is literally the very coldest spot in that area. It's right here. On your heart? Normally that joke comes to me, like somebody normally says it. So for that exact reason, Anthony, was it?
Yes.
Ah, this one's going to go to you. You're going to hold this horizontally with the camera on your left-hand side all night long so you can actually view it.
Okay.
And I will always give you the cues for the starts and stops. So there you go. The red square means it's recording. Yes, we're going to keep it on.
Melissa, you're already dead.
R.I.P.
Oh, you finally have my skin color.
The next crazy camera. So this guy works completely different.
I'm looking for cold.
Right from the start. Quick demo, you should not be able to see me in this little tiny GoPro here. I know the screen is small, I'm showing you a black screen, but it's very exciting. Look around the front. Your entire screen is going to be purple as I go around. We're working with infrared lighting here. Basically, these are lights that you can't see with your own eyes. So the whole point of this is that we're going to be able to capture something you wouldn't normally be able to see with our own eyes. So at times it will break out lasers to be able to detect any motion going through this camera. However, I'm using a new device tonight, so I'm not going to be using the lasers, amongst the group. I may break them out for any kind of motion detection. So again, we're working with these red lights that you see in front of the camera.
Am I a black spot?
You look good.
So I'm going to start this video now, just so that we can actually see if humidity is going to affect the camera. That will happen from time to time, not very often, but I like to make sure nice and early so we can fix that problem. So, Kristen, this one's actually going to go to you.
Oh, I hold it on the bottom?
Nope, there's a handle right where your hand's at.
Okay.
Yep, there you go. Don't be afraid of it. It's got some weight to it.
Oh, here's my handle. Oh, wait.
Nice slow movements.
I think that's the battery plug.
Don't worry, dude.
Oh, we're all going to be in that camera. Spirit boxes. We're going to be using several different types of spirit boxes tonight.
That's probably for the mattress.
I'm sure it is.
And we have...
So spirit boxes are a way for us to communicate.
See if they're alive in there.
In essence, they normally give you the white noise.
Turn the sirens off now.
In the middle of it, again, trying to convince you of the same thing. We're going to be doing that in real time. Only my spirit boxes are slowed down. So the reason why I slow them down is because capturing a disembodied voice through basically static is a rarity. It does happen, but not on a nightly basis. I'm allowing the radio chatter to come through, song lyrics, DJs, commercials, on purpose. In the event the DJs and the song lyrics say something, it's irrelevant. It might be relevant to the space of where we are, a person in history we're talking about, or even something going on with one of you. It happens all the time. My name loves to show up on this guy all the time. The cool thing is that the person using it, Amanda, is going to have an earbud in. So she's going to be the only one to hear it in real time. I'll be writing everything down that she hears, but this is also recording the radio suite for you. I will be spot checking this guy tomorrow morning, giving you my findings on top of Amanda's findings. So again, I will always give you a link to be able to verify the information that goes along with this. So Amanda, earwax is gross. You get to keep these earbuds. I don't want them back. So you have to undo the twist side because they are brand new, and then there's a volume wheel at the top. So I have it turned all the way down right now.
So you got the one you wanted.
One of those earbuds in your ear.
I want the other one now. Paul and Melissa don't have one yet.
So I actually use 2 of these, but I do not, like the second one will not record. So I'll be relying on the person in real time of whatever they hear to be able to tell me so I can manually record it. The reason for that is because if I give you guys 4 hours of white noise and radio static, somebody's going to hunt me down. So 2 hours I think is plenty. So again, with that, Chris, this one's actually going to go to you. Earwax is gross, you get it? So spirit
going
box
on?
we don't
Something
actually
or
have to
something?
listen to. This is going to replace an Ovilus if you're familiar with
There you
TV
go. I think you have
shows.
to hold this side.
So
This is
on your
the
TV
camera.
shows, the Ovilus will actually give you words on the screen of that specific device.
Okay.
So the way this guy works is it's also scanning radio stations and recognizing words from its 9,100 word dictionary and putting them on the screen. It's another way of communication to be able to match things up among all of the different styles of spirit boxes we're using. This guy's going to save every term and phrase that pops up on here with a timestamp. It helps me when something does come up relevant of where to watch the video, where to listen to Amanda's recording, so forth and so on. I'm going to clear out last night. They had 74 terms. That's about average for a 2-hour time frame. But this is a phone app. 80% of this is going to be garbage. So it's the other 20% of it where it's actually going to be relevant to our space, a person, or something going on with one of you. So,
Got it.
Miss Carol, this one's going to go to you. This is an easy one. All you got to do is hold it. I will come to you when I want to see the words.
All right, good.
There you go. That's a super easy one.
How did you know that's what I wanted?
Because I do this 7 nights a week.
I don't care what I get. I just want.
You're like, well,
I'm willing to get one that.
The next spirit box is going to be a lot different than the others. This guy is going to sweep through both FM and AM radio stations simultaneously, attempting to take out the white noise that Amanda and Chris are actually listening to. So hopefully we're going to get about 10 to 12 words that are going to be relevant to our spaces tonight. So this guy is open air speaker. I left it on mute for right now. So Melissa, this one's going to go to you. Again, the way you hold it is obviously blinking lights are the top, speakers here. There's a mute button that I just pressed. It's the only button on the right-hand side. We're going to leave it pressed until we get past the horses. They don't like the white noise. Yes, I take the horses very, very seriously, as I'm sure you guys can see that.
Does that say mute?
Let's see. This guy, I know, fun little tune right at the beginning, right? So this is the brand new device. We are going to be testing this out. I've had it less than a week. We've been getting some things out of it, but basically what this is doing is it's moving through every letter of the alphabet, and based on any EMF spike, it will stop on specific letters. The hope here is that we can figure out words, names, anagrams, or initials. That's the hope. So again, very unique device, brand new to the market, about 2 months old. So Jackson, this one's going to go to you, sir.
let's go.
Again, we're going to see how this works out. So I already kind of have it set up, so I will come to you when I want to see what letters have popped up and see what it's spelling. Yes.
Yeah, that's powerful.
So what does yours do?
Mine's like, just like, it's like if you were to go through radio stations on your car.
Uh-huh.
That's
All
what
right.
it sounds like.
So these guys.
Oh, okay.
These are
Like,
pretty much a
and then
necessity
you're
when we're doing any
listening
kind of
for
paranormal investigation.
Anything that comes
So,
up in between the
with
static.
that said,
Oh, that's
we're going to use this to actually debunk a lot of things. So basically, it's going to help me detect any parking meters, electrical wires, buildings, your phone was too close, yada, yada, yada. You guys get it. Electronic items. The reason why they use these on TV is because they're super sensitive. It makes it look like something big and huge is happening. But we actually use them to debunk a lot of things. Because this job is so easy, Paul, you're going to have two devices. I always hand this to an adult because they don't know what the hell it is. We have a digital camera. So the kids don't know what to do with this guy. So you're going to be taking hundreds and hundreds of pictures for us. I don't care of what. Us selfies do get deleted, just so you know. But there's no flash on this camera. So the reason for that is because I don't want any false positives off of cars, windows, that kind of thing. Anything that's too dark, I just lighten it up to see if anything's actually going on in there. But people, your group should be following you around because you're going to know basically where the hot spots are. This will help detect, but it mostly helps debunk. So you actually get both of those. Lucky you, you're double-fisted.
It's not the first time.
Let's see. Andrew. You're going to have the multitask tool. So because she has an extra earbud, you're going to be able to help them.
Well, you might want to get to the doctor when you get back.
So what this guy actually does, so this also has an electromagnetic field meter in it, like I just handed Paul. So anything above 2.5 would be his second green dot. I want to know what's going on anything above 2.5 on the big numbers. The bottom number is ambient temperature. Anything comes up on Anthony's screen, you and I can debunk it or prove it with the yellow probe here at the top. So again, it's just there at the ready. The last thing that it has a motion sensor built into it. If anything gets close to the antenna that I just pulled out, it's going to go off. So I'm not touching it right now. Now I'm touching it. Obviously different tones, different colors of lights. You and I will talk about that at the first stop we'll use it. For now, just kind of get used to the red numbers.
What? Joy's getting scared.
Wish I get scared. I'm just getting excited.
You guys need a spirit box you can actually listen to. So your spirit box is open air as well. So this is an older style spirit box. So it's a little harder to listen to. And it just said spirit. Did everybody hear that? Yeah, So the only thing you need to worry about with this guy is where the volume is. It's on the ball speaker, so if this screen is at the top, you just roll this down to obviously turn it down when I'm talking to the whole group, and then you just roll it up and hold it to get the volume back up. You just have to give it a second and be patient. So that way you guys can actually work on that one together. Everybody's geared up, right?
Yeah, I'm scared.
All right. I'm going to say Jackson's in charge. Let me know what happens. No, I'm kidding. Don't go in. So thank you for making the bag later. That's always a plus for me. So, welcome to Big John's. There's a reason why we start here, of course. The place is haunted. Of course it is. That's why I told you guys. I was asking you guys about why you guys were eating there. This place, it used to be owned by a football player. His name was Big John Kennedy. Obviously, it's named after him. He played for the 1947 New York Giants. Whenever I'm telling you the history of a place or a building, I will always slow down on the keywords that commonly come up on spirit boxes. 47, New York, Giants, anything relatable to a bar, and the name John are obviously keywords for this space. Here's why the place is haunted. John used to sit at the back of the bar, and he would tell the bartender if the cadets that were coming over from the Citadel if they were old enough to drink or not. When they two guys came in, they weren't old enough to drink. So John had the bartender throw them out, and they left pretty angry. They came back the next night, and they tried to steal the cash register from the front of the bar. John saw what was going on, slams down his beer, goes over and just starts beating these guys up, just pounding them into the floor. A couple of gunshots went off. John got grazed in the neck, and the bullet landed behind him in the wall in the front of the bar. So, what's haunting the place is the bullet hole. Allegedly, Big John's may have filled it in, because this is a renovation. So the whole point of this is John didn't die from that story. What's haunting the place is that his blood was in the walls. So basically, people that sit in the front of this bar, like these four right here, tend to get a little queasy, nauseous, or headache. Again, it's a tendency. This is kind of a heated warning. I will need to know if anybody feels any of those symptoms throughout our evening. We will always blame the heat and humidity first. Again, not everything is paranormal, just so you guys know. Again, I'm not the guy where everything's a ghost. No, it's gotta be a ghost. I'm not that guy. I will do a lot of debunking tonight. But again, I have to put out that warning just because. That way we can move the whole group and get that person to safety if anybody's feeling that way.
But it was hot in the front of there.
Oh, it just said J.
It was hot.
Let's see if it actually spells out the rest of John's name. Let's get our minds off of our own health, right? Because Joy's getting a little concerned. So,
She's a
big earthquake here in 1886. If you didn't already know that from
This is
any other
cute.
tour in town,
This is cute.
from any other tour, now you do. We all talk about the earthquake because it's an anomaly for South Carolina. We're supposed to have hurricanes, not earthquakes. But Big John's, the building, is allegedly where the first death occurred from that earthquake. The mantle you see in the middle of the building also wraps around the front. Pieces that broke off, hit somebody in the back of the head and killed him, and they say you can see his ghost in the middle of East Bay Street in the middle of the night. I said apparently a lot with that because I don't have any proof. It's just a great segue so nobody's thinking about getting sick on the tour. So again, that's the whole point of that. But again,
Your balls turn green.
all right, everybody ready to go ghost hunting?
Yeah.
All right, we're actually going to head this
Oh,
way.
yeah.
I thought I feel fun. This is 100%.
Yeah. She'll want to
I'm gonna see somebody in their forever box.
Anybody else hear chains rattling? No, I'm kidding. Skeleton
For
joke.
some reason, it said JQ.
JQ. So his last name was definitely not Q. So welcome to the Big Red Barn Lot, everybody. This is where they keep some of the horses for your carriage rides. So notice my voice dropped down a little bit. Obviously the horses can hear us. There's no glass in those window panes up there. It's another reason why we keep the loud spirit boxes on mute and the other ones have earbuds. The history here is very simple. I made it that way on purpose so I can use it as an example to tell you more about your devices. This is the same red barn that held horses that delivered milk and eggs to the residents of Charleston, roughly around 1860s to 1920s. So, keywords here are going to be delivery, milk, eggs, anything relatable to a stable. So let's talk about all of the spirit boxes first, because the majority of you have some kind of communication device. Normally when somebody gets a communication device like a spirit box or a Ouija board, everybody wants to ask the same question. What do you think that question is?
How did you die?
What else you got?
What's your presence here? Is there anybody here?
Is there anybody here? Perfect. That's exactly what I was looking for. So let's say that Chris actually hears the answer no. That means somebody's here. We are not going to be using yes and no questions all night long. Even if you're here because you're a skeptic and you just want to have some fun, we're not going to get any paranormal evidence at all from yes and no questions. We're going to be going after specific details. For example, somebody's here, tell me what color the big red barn is. Obviously, we're looking and listening for the color red. I say looking because Miss Carol has a word list that she can't hear. She's only looking at the word list. The rest of you are using song lyrics and DJs to convey messages back to us, and the word red might not be available to them to be able to convey back to us. So, fire truck, blood, heart, those three things are specifically red. I would take that as an acceptable answer if it was direct. However, most of the night I'm going to require that there's at least two happenings before you become close to labeling something.
That looks like you dyed your hair too black.
Let's say Carol's word list has the word heart on it. It doesn't mean anything over here by itself. Then Amanda here put number 40 on her spirit box. Put them together. Art Faircloth was number 40 on Big John's team. You guys see where I'm going with putting the clues together? This is more like an escape room than it is a ghost tour. So again, it's all about piecing the puzzles together. Just so you also know, I will be withholding information throughout the night to make sure everybody has a genuine experience. Okay. And again, I will make sure I can prove it before I say, wow, that's a great clue. You're going to hear me say the word secondary verifier quite a bit tonight because, again, not everything is considered paranormal. If it is a first clue and I put it in your data and I didn't find a second, I will still give you a link so that way you can continue the research. Because, again, I'm spot checking everything. Let's talk about the cameras. So we have 3 cameras in play tonight. We're going to be in some spaces where there will be parked cars and people walking by. If I do like an Andy's coming, that means everybody's not recording or taking photographs. So Anthony, yours is really easy. You've got a cell phone, so basically tilt it so it looks like you're playing on a phone. Chris over there, like basically you got it. Point straight down at your side, pointing at the ground. Again, people don't like their cars to be filmed. They don't like to be filmed themselves. We're going to look like a bunch of vloggers out here. And Paul, as far as you go, by all means, look like a tourist. I don't mind. But we're not going to be staying on somebody's vehicle for far too long. Just kind of keep that in mind. All right, so Anthony, we'll start with your camera. You're going to try to do 2 things for us. I know I told you to don't film people, but I do want you to try to keep one of us in view at all times.
Okay.
The reason why, we're the warmest thing out here.
Okay.
So again, with that, it gives us that easier spot to be able to spot a cold spot.
Got it.
Because it's got the array. The other thing, keep the sky out.
Okay.
I know it's gorgeous tonight because it's nice and clear, but that blue dot will default to the sky because it doesn't have a surface.
Got it.
So again, people in, sky out.
Okay.
Chris, on your end, nice slow movement. We're not using lasers tonight with somebody following you around with laser grids, so the slower you go, the easier it is to watch your video. And again, you and I will do a few starts and stops as well, just to make sure, because I'm going to splice all the videos together for you to make one infrared video and then one thermal video. So again, no matter how many starts and stops you guys do, I work all night to make sure it all splices together for one each.
And how do I stop?
So on the top of the camera, there's 3 buttons, the one all the way to the right. Stop.
Okay.
So again, that'll be your button.
Okay.
All right. Andrew, I have to work with you at the next stop. That'll be the first place we use that motion sensor. Did you get any readings on yours, Paul, at all? Did you get any kind of colors? Okay. All right. Let's go get away from football players and ponies and deep dive into history. Still don't have anything else other than JQ? Well, we don't have enough ghosts. Let's go find some more. If anybody needed a place to sit, somebody was gracious enough to leave us a chair. So I don't know who left the chair behind, but
Do I unmute this now?
you can. I'm going to go through the history here, so if
After
it gets
that?
too distracting for me, then I'll tell you to mute it again. Is that fair?
Yep.
All right, go ahead and unmute.
Okay.
All right, I'm going to let's pull this in a little bit. That's the only entrance and exit to this space. So, first and foremost, spirit boxes. After I'm done giving you the history, I will not be giving you questions like what color is George Washington's white horse, like what we did over there at the Big Red Barn. You will be getting the answers from your spirit boxes. So, welcome to a parking lot, everybody. Congratulations, you made it. Yes, I know, very happy. This place actually used to be something pretty important to Charleston, which is why we're here. It used to be the Eliza and Charles Pinckney Mansion. It actually sat in the front of this space, facing East Bay Street. Eliza's garden was lined up with that Five Church restaurant over there and came all the way across. And we are standing in the servant and slave quarters for the home. So I always like to give you the layout of the land before we, really get started. So who the heck were these people? Charles and Eliza had a son named Charles. They had a nephew named Charles. That's 3 different Charleses, in case you guys lost count. The reason I bring that up is because now you know why we look for those secondary verifiers. In case one of the Charleses wants to come through, we need to know which one it is. So kind of keep that in mind. But anyways, the son and the nephew were signers of the Constitution for South Carolina. And that's a pretty big deal for us, but I hate politics. But if I don't bring it up, it usually comes up in a weird way from your guys' devices. So I always bring it up. We're going to talk about Eliza. She has a much cooler story anyway. Eliza married Charles at a young age according to today's standards, not the colonial times that she came from. When we separate, if you spirit box folks are going to ask her how old she was when she got married, you will not hear numbers like 12 and 14. Just kind of keep that in mind. Think of today's standards. The reason I bring that up is because Charles, her husband, was over double her age. Kind of a creepy age gap back in the 1700s, definitely a creepy age gap now. But anyway, she married him because her father was over in England, and he thought he was dying. He's trying to bring all of his children home one last time so he could see him. Well, Eliza didn't think he was dying, so instead she stays put and gets married. It's 1744. You don't get married for a green card because we're not a country yet. She married Charles out of love. But she was right. Dad didn't die right away. And instead, he starts sending her gifts from England to this space. One of those gifts happened to be the plant seeds of indigo. You guys have seen the word indigo somewhere around town. If you've been here more than an hour, I can guarantee it. Indigo is a plant that makes blue dye that makes our blue jeans blue. That's actually how we use it today. Amanda's got it on right now because that's what we use it for. But when Eliza got those seeds, she didn't know what to do with them. She had to learn from her slaves how to keep it cultivated. It's not always hot here. So once she figured it out, she moves it to another plantation, turns it into a huge cash crop, calls her father and says, our rice plantations in South Carolina are going downhill. We're going to make a killing with this indigo. And now we have an international businesswoman during colonial times. So again, that's her business. Let's get into the weird stuff, because that's why everybody's here, right? Because you guys wanted some weird crap. So let's kind of go through each spirit box, and I'll be assigning you questions. So with that said, Jackson, I'm going to leave yours kind of wide open. I'm not going to give you any questions. I just kind of want to see what letters are going to pop up with yours. Amanda, I want you to focus on the children. I know I told you there's at least one, Charles, but there's more. You can ask how many and what their names were, but nothing else. The reason I'm telling her nothing else is there's a tragedy among those kids. All activity will stop. Do we have any numbers show up here at all, by the way? No. Okay, so if we did, obviously everything would go down to 0. Don't poke the bear on this one. I'm going to kind of hold you to it, because then we'll all know what you mean. It was a joke. You're supposed to chuckle a little bit. Have some fun. Let's see. Where's my next spirit box? So with yours, the mansion's not here anymore, Joy. You can ask what happened to it and when did that happen. I'm looking obviously for a very specific date. So again, that's what I want you to kind of focus on with yours. Miss Carol. Eliza, the one we just talked about, is the second wife named Eliza from Charles. Back to back. Either really smart or really stupid, fellas. For those of you kind of thinking about that, that's a really dumb idea. But anyway, same year no less. His first wife, Eliza, dies in January of 1744, and 5 months later, he marries the second. So they both have a maiden name that starts with the letter L. See which Eliza we're dealing with by asking her maiden name. I've seen both of them show up on your spirit box in the past. Chris, have I screwed up anybody's name yet, by the way? That's pretty good? Good. All right, so Chris, with yours, I want you to go after Eliza's death. So anything you want to about her death. How old she was, what she died from, where she's buried, and what president was a pallbearer at her funeral. These are very specific niche questions, so kind of keep that in mind. Melissa, with yours, I want you to focus on the mansion as well, because yours likes to give us 1 to 2 syllables at a time. So I know most basically what happened to the mansion are like 1 to 2 syllable answers. So what happened to it and when, and hopefully between the two of you, between you and Joy, you guys can give me a full date or something along those lines. So I am going to have to work with Andrew for a few minutes just to show him how to use that motion sensor. We are going to spread out in the slot. We're not going to go in between vehicles, or we're actually fortunate because there's only 2 vehicles here. So again, just stay away from those 2 vehicles up there and let's have some fun. We're going to stay this way, but I'll be bouncing around with all of you to see what's going on with your devices after I'm done with Andrew. All right, you can hang around too. I can show you the number one on the screen. So no numbers whatsoever. The word go.
Which president was a pallbearer at your funeral?
Oh. Well, it's just point at that thing right there.
I was going to point at the coldest thing.
It's a pothole.
Were you upset about being a child?
I want to say something too. When you said those names.
I feel like that heard something about somebody being a pallbearer at somebody's funeral when we were on the ferry. I mean, I wasn't really paying attention, so that's why I'm like... Stop it.
I thought Paul was next to me, but it wasn't.
Stop it.
Okay.
Did you
What?
hear her?
What?
We were standing over by the horse barn. Melissa felt somebody go like that.
I thought it was my. I thought it was my.
Paul.
I thought it was my sling bag, but it was like that, like on my side.
You gotta tell him.
No.
Melissa, why not? Has ever anything like that happened
my
before?
bag.
Melissa, it was not just your bag.
No black spot around you.
Nuh-uh.
I said there is no.
Well, there probably certainly was then.
What were you supposed to be asking Eliza?
How did you die? And who was a pallbearer at your funeral?
Which president was a pallbearer at your funeral, Eliza?
Did you get freaked out or were you just like,
Alright, how's your spirit box going? That one's not easy to do. So again, it's about 75% accurate from what I found so far. But again, whatever you hear that's clear as day, that's what we're actually after. Anything coming up out of yours?
he's trying to scare me.
I'm going to show you that ghost hunting isn't truly a scary thing.
No.
Nothing yet.
I'm asking questions. It's hard.
It's not an easy thing.
No. There's so much like chatter.
But is there
know?
any words at all that a DJ said or a song lyric that you were able to make out?
Not really.
So no matter how silly you think it
Nothing
is,
relevant.
that you know of.
Yeah.
Remember, I'm withholding information.
Okay.
So if you hear drop it like it's hot, I want to know that you heard drop it like it's
Okay.
hot.
All right. Let me.
Kind of get the gist of where
So-
I'm going with that?
I
Yeah.
presume like potholes and things show up because
Mhm.
I've been finding like hot spots and it'd be like metal over there or something like that. So
So this ground, normally when I'm watching the video, like the footage for this
Mhm.
location, I'm watching the walls.
Okay.
Because the walls are holding on to the heat from the day's sun.
Uh-huh.
And the ground is consistent of cement, it has blacktop, there's gravel, there's mud.
Okay.
So it's really weird to find something on the ground where I'm like, oh, check that out on the ground.
Yeah, okay.
Normally, because the walls are solid in color.
I mean, what would it look like if it actually was like a spirit or something?
I'll show
Like
you.
a small spot or what am I?
It depends. So let me show you some footage.
All right.
That we kind of have a gist.
Chris, keep asking Eliza questions.
I actually took you for like the person that would be least interested in all of this.
No, I love this stuff.
Good.
I heard mercy.
Okay. We'll take it. Again, I don't have a relevance for it, but we're going to take that you heard
It
something.
means
So I'll be
there
right.
is a relevance, so he's just not telling us yet.
Wait,
No, actually,
when
I
our
don't.
friend was over there at the horse stable, she felt something like that.
Where at?
Near the
When we were
barn.
near the horse stables, when
Yeah.
you were Big John's.
Yeah.
Yeah. And she thought it was her husband, and she turned around, there was nobody there.
Wow.
And she doesn't want to tell you because she's scared. But I'm telling you.
So this particular video was taken by an 8-year-old girl.
Uh-huh.
Keep your eye on this blue person walking towards us.
Uh-huh.
Let me play it again.
Happens fast, but there it
Does.
is.
Oh, was that an actual apparition? Or?
Yeah.
Ooh.
Like there was nobody there. I have other ones. It's kind of buried because it was such a long time
And you
ago.
know that it's an apparition because it's blue. It's not red
The face
like
is like
us.
this because I took screenshots to be able to give to that group.
Yeah.
The screenshots show a black face, which is the coldest part of all of the blueness.
The whole thing.
Because the black is going to be the coldest area. So again, it wasn't up. It was like in the middle. It was like in the spring. So
Yeah.
it wasn't like, and I was in view. So my skin tone was in view, giving the contrast.
That's why you always want to have somebody
Correct.
else to give that.
Just another one. Anthony, just before you walk away, this one is
sure.
a little bit more.
Just so you kind of know what you're looking for.
Right.
Yeah, our daughter actually does actually see spirits on occasion.
Okay.
And she went to
All the time,
Yeah, well, she went to
actually.
see a medium, and they're like, "You're a
Ridiculous.
receiver." They're like, "You have the ability to."
Yeah, they all say that.
Come on, man.
She does see them all the time, though. It's absolutely ridiculous.
Well, she saw my mom. She died when she was 5. That was creepy, though.
Hang on. There it is. So, behind all these people,
Uh-huh.
there's 3 other people
Holy
standing
shit.
there. So, that's a little blurry. I'm going to play it again just so I can freeze frame it for you.
Some of these people, are these spirits inherently interested in humans, like
Well,
the
yeah,
living? Or...
I will tell you that because I'm here 7 nights a week,
Uh-huh.
my name shows up a lot.
So
Like
they
at
know, they're familiar with you.
home. You see him now?
Yes.
Shit.
Oh, yeah.
There were 3
Oh my
heads there
God.
a second
Ooh.
ago.
Okay.
So again, The wall was completely. That's the wall over there. That's where that is.
Oh shit. Okay.
Yeah. So just to kind of give you a
I'm
much
trying to
better
keep my fingers at it. I guess over here is the camera
Yeah, that's the
area.
camera. So lower left hand corner. All right. Let me see what you got going on. I'm trying to get my.
That guy was showing me footage. It was so cool. There was one. There was just this, like a cold spot, like an apparition of a human just walking by. So it's like that's what. Because I was like, what am I looking for?
Getting scared.
I heard the word monster.
You did?
I'm trying to pay attention a little bit more now.
Yeah.
Now, Chris heard mercy. So he said he's got an activity over here.
I'm talking a bit. How did you die?
Oh. 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 First I thought that was something. The metal shows up on most of the gates, so. Eliza. Talk to us, Eliza. Charles.
Takeover? Oh, I heard takeover. Wait a minute. Takeover.
Okay, because here we got the word photograph on the word list. So normally when that shows up, that's when I look at the timestamps and pictures and try to save something. Okay. So, anything else popping up on here? No.
Monster and takeover. Sounded like monster.
Alright, you guys are getting the gist of it, but nothing super relevant. So I'm actually going to pull it back. So keep listening in on the way back while I kind of round everybody up. Alright, we're going to head towards the back again. So keep listening in until we all meet up in the back.
Oh, it's just you. So all you heard was mercy?
hand before we leave. Deal? Yeah, I'm sanitizing, but again, that's nasty. Just saying.
This is
It's gonna help us out.
I don't like that. It says H-O-P.
It says hop
Yeah.
with a D, so it was past tense. They hopped.
Here, come over here, dude.
All right. So whenever I'm breaking out the tablet, go ahead and stop your video. That's the red square. Kind of get your hands a little bit slow, so everybody can catch up.
Is he getting freaked out or just?
This being a brand new device, I figured this is
I
probably
don't know,
the
I'm
best
gonna
one for me to
freak
grab.
out. Don't get freaked out.
Oh, careful.
Oh,
Sorry.
I would be the one to trip on it too.
What?
You should say that to the guy. You should say that to the guy. No, you wait.
What happened?
Know. This is so dark.
Make sure everybody was keeping up.
I didn't know that.
Figured that was more exciting for you.
The liver is evil and must be punished.
Well, you guys did none of you. So you just set the bar, or you're gonna never do another ghost story. That's usually how it goes. I get emails from people like months and almost a year later saying, I found 10 ghost stories in different cities and nothing still.
See you later. In front of the Amen Street Fish.
turn your camera on in here. We do capture. There you go, bud.
Thank you.
All right, what names are we hearing? What have you guys got?
I got Queen.
Queen?
I got Connor. And West. I don't know if it's a name or a stretch.
Anything else come up? Nothing at all?
For names or anything.
Anything?
I got Medium.
Oh, those are showing up on your word list?
Yeah.
I don't write this
I'm
down.
sorry.
It's okay.
Wow.
It's okay. I just didn't put two and two together. So look at the
Okay.
word list. All right, those of you with noisy spirit boxes, let's go ahead and mute them or turn them down. We are next to a hotel, so again, it's considered a quiet area. That little tiny sign right above your head is something people hate. Basically what it says. So, welcome to Lodge Alley, everybody. What is this place? When we crossed that last crosswalk coming down East Main Street, that's where the original Charlestown walls used to be. You're standing on one of the first streets we ever had. The reason I asked you for a list of names or whatever you guys heard is because I have the full list of residents of every single person that's ever been down here. Brandon, you guys get anything up yours? Nothing. And you have the one that's recorded, am I right? Yeah, you do. I can see the red tab. So the full list of names isn't very lengthy, so don't be super impressed. But I do get the same 2 names every 6 to 7 weeks. We are in week 7 of that loop. Here's what goes on with this. So basically, you guys hear the names Benjamin and John every 6 to 7 weeks. The interesting thing is that there's a Benjamin and John that both lived here in 1801. Now, there were 4 different Johns that lived down here in a 60-year time span. So, John likes to give us his last name to verify which John it is. That name is Johnson. So we'll get Ben, John, and Johnson all in the same line. And yes, his mother was horrible. That named him John Johnson. So just going to put that out there. We have another person that lived here in the same time period. His name is Alexander. So I don't know if they were just mean moms back then, but just take that for what it is. So here's why this is actually going on. The bricks you're standing on. These things have been here since 1739 that the historians know of. So again, it's a speculation, a few hundred years. They're called Belgian blocks. They're made of granite. They are not supposed to have any type of EMF charge to them whatsoever. Like if you break open a magnet or a piece of quartz, it's going to give off an electrical charge. These are not supposed to do that. Andrew, take a brick and literally put your device on a dry brick for me, and let me know if you get any numbers. I don't care about colors in this location. No, go ahead and set it down. Hands off. There you go. So I expect up to a 1.1 because that's natural from the earth. Anything above that, I've seen it go all the way up to 15. So again, what is it? 2. So we're going to leave it there for just a few minutes. But again, the whole point of the stone tape theory is it states that anything natural from the earth that's been in the same place for a few hundred years can hang on to the consciousness of the memories of the things that occurred there and then replay them on electronic devices like what we're using now. So again, which is why we use all electronic devices. There's no Ouija boards and all that stuff, dowsing rods that we're not using out here. I want things that we can actually measure. So again, we're still trying to prove all of this, but again, this is week 7, and I'm not just saying that. It's a matter of like I keep track of this, I keep track of moon phases to see what's making it happen. I have no idea. It hasn't been a fully proven theory yet. The other interesting thing about this place, why we're standing here, any of the numbers by the way? Go ahead and pick it up. We're not going to get anything else other than that. Freemasons have Masonic Lodge here, which is where the alley gets its name from, Lodge Alley. So we do get terms wrapped around the Freemasons while we're here. So that would be Freemason, Mason, bricks, symbols. Illuminati loves to show up on those red spirit boxes. That's the funny one because you guys are listening to radio stations. Who the hell is talking about the Illuminati on the radio, first off? Second, why are we only getting it while we're in this space? 6 times last year, 3 times so far this year. And they've all been verified of the word Illuminati coming through. And it's all been from a direct radio station. I don't know which one, but we get it from a radio station every time. It's not disembodied. It's so weird. Just the other night, we actually had the term Founding Fathers show up as we were leaving. So again, I kind of took that one with a piece of salt too. Like, wow, that's good stuff. So that's all the history in this location. It kind of gives us just a gist of like what the layout of the land, basically, with the walls. The next space we're going to go to is another alley. However, I can't take you all the way through it. Why? I've been kicked out. So with that being said, you guys have all the blinky lights and the noise makers. Excuse us. So again, it is considered residential at the end, so I don't take folks down there anymore, but we still stir up all the activity by telling the story outside of the alley. And again, we will get clues to that story throughout the remainder of our time together because we're going to be relatively close at the last stop to that alley. So we'll hear things from our last 2. It'll be a bleed over like what we had with the Pinky Mansion and Big John's. So I will also tell you how I got booted out of the space because that's the fun part of the story. And it's, again, again, it's part of why we go to the last space that we're going to after that. Any other terms show up on yours?
I mean, I don't, a whole bunch. I don't know what you want to hear.
Okay,
Remarkable, luck.
So hit the white box to the right of the word,
Yeah.
and it gives you all the words. Give me the last 4.
Can you, I don't have my glasses on.
Ooh. Remarkable. What is that?
Triton?
Done. Love.
Yeah, I got nothing. All right, so we're going to stop filming as we exit the alley, just because we're going to be cutting through a neighborhood to get to the next alley. We don't record cars or houses, so kind of keep that in mind. All right, let's head up to the next alley. It does get very humid down here this time. And I say that because a lot of other tours pass through here. This is kind of a staple for Charleston. They didn't pay to get filmed or pictures taken of, so again, be very discreet. He's like, I don't want to look like a vlogger. This is Philadelphia Alley. Any letters show up on there, by the way? Nothing at all. Let's see what we get now. I'm going to give you some history. So, yeah, go ahead. Yeah, I just don't go down there. And the reason why I don't go down there all the way is because we're allowed to go halfway. But it's not fair for my 10 to try to work around 20 to 60. Again, we're investigating the space, but again, we stir up enough shit out here. Now, this place is called Philadelphia Alley. It used to be called Duelers Alley. This is where some of the duels used to occur for the city of Charleston. So we all talk about one specific duel because we can prove that it happened. But I'm obviously going to be giving you a little bit different details because this is not just a normal ghost tour. You need more details because of what we're doing. So here's how this story goes. Yeah, I know, right? And I took a couple of pictures so you guys will have that as a memoir. Now, there's a doctor that moves down here from Rhode Island. His name is Joseph Brown Ladd. He moves down here because he's supposed to get married to his fiancée, Amanda. Now, Amanda, not you, Amanda. You're not the real Amanda. Amanda just inherited a bunch of money from her dead parents. She has an attorney that's helping her out with all of this cash. The attorney thinks that the doctor is just after Amanda's money. He tells Amanda to get rid of the doctor. To prove that he's not after her cash, he moves to Charleston. So as he's coming into town, a coachman set him up to be robbed and killed. He had a gunman inside the place where he was going to stay, and they were going to take all of his cash. However, somebody was walking by. His name was Ralph Isaacs. Ralph, I'm going to stop on him because he has the same initials as where the doctor came from. Ralph Isaacs, Rhode Island. RI shows up here a lot, and now that we have the envoy, I'm hoping it's going to show up on there, but that's 2 different characters. We need a secondary verifier so we know who it belongs to. Now, Ralph tells the doctor, dude, you don't want to stay here. He didn't say dude because it's the late 1700s. I'm making that up. Now, you don't want to stay here because I know this guy, he's going to try to kill you. There's a gunman inside. I've seen this before. But I've got some friends at 59 Church Street. You can stay there, and you'll be safe and good to go. The doctor takes him up on the offer, he's safe, and him and Ralph become friends. The longer the doctor stays in Charleston, the more money he's making. He's making his own money, proving his point he wasn't after Amanda's money, which means she's moving down from Rhode Island. Dr. Ladd becomes known as the whistling doctor because he literally whistled all the time. It's the late 1700s, that was a thing. Every haunted city you'll ever visit in the future has a cliched whistling ghost. I can guarantee it. I put my paycheck on it. However, we actually have proof of this one. Let's finish the story. Him and Ralph go see plays together, but they can't sit next to each other. The doctor makes more money. He gets better seats. So they talk about the plays on the way home. One night they go see Richard III from Shakespeare. They're arguing over the actress. The doctor thought she was great. Ralph, not so much. It gets even more heated when Ralph starts insulting the doctor's fiancée, Amanda, back home in Rhode Island. They go their separate ways. Ralph has friends at the newspaper. He goes to see them. Puts an ad in the paper telling the whole city of Charleston what he thinks of the doctor. Like he's a disgrace to society kind of mentality. Dr. Ladd sees the ad and rebuttals with, let's go to Duelers Alley. We're going to settle this once and for all. Somebody's going to die. So they come down, they take their 10 paces, they turn. The doctor pointed his gun in the air and he shot. He didn't want to kill his friend. He just want to have the courage to show up to the fight, which is awesome. So Ralph, he has his one shot. He puts it in the kneecap on the doctor. So Dr. Ladd doesn't die, he drops to the ground. His friends pick him up. He carries him to 59 where he died 10 days later. He refused medical treatment. He's a doctor. He probably tried to bleed out that bullet wound himself. So the campfire ghost story part of this says as you walk down the alley, you can hear the whistles from the doctor. Keep in mind, if you're going to do this on your own with your voice recorders, everybody knows this story that's a local. So anybody walking up and down Cumberland or Queen Street from the other side is going to throw a whistle down the alley. So it's not going to be very obvious when you guys are hearing these whistles. It's going to be a local. I used to take my tours all the way through there, and we would use the voice recorder. So that way it was spirit boxes down, see what happens. We did have some that I couldn't debunk, very faint in the background. But here's the reason why I got booted out of there. This is the fun part. So this alley didn't always come all the way through before it was Duelers Alley, which means the bricks on the other side are sun-dried bricks from slave children. I'm sure you guys realize by now I'm all about the history. So those bricks have one full handprint from a slave child and fingerprint swipes in them on the left-hand side. And I would always point them out to show how far we've come. Part of our history. You can see it. However, everybody wants to try to get a reading out of that brick, and I treat it the same way I do a grave. That kid's not staring at that brick in the afterlife. Well, my group of November 26th of 2020, they all decided to get a reading in the huddle around that brick. It's outside a gentleman's dining room window of his beautiful mansion. He wasn't real happy with us. We come out screaming. My daughter thought it was great because Dad's getting yelled at. We moved on. The next day was Thanksgiving. It's important because I didn't have a tour. So the next day after that was November 28th. Yes, these dates mean something. I get a phone call asking me to go down halfway or reroute my tour. I decided it's better to reroute so that way we don't have to work around 20 to 60 people. I told my team, I don't believe in the story I'm about to tell you, but I'm going to tell you what I know and we're going to wing it and see what happens. Before we leave this space, somebody hears the name Anne on a spirit box. I did not tell the team we were going to be investigating Anne Bonny, the famous female pirate. So I'm like, all right, maybe there is something going on here. Now, we get up there and I told a little bit of pirate stuff that I did know about Charleston, and somebody else hears the number 300, and I don't know what that means until I'm doing the research the next day. We were there on November 28th of 2020. Anne Bonny's trial for piracy was November 28th of 1720. We were there on the exact 300-year anniversary. So he's taking me all back up there. Hope that we find more pirate lore. I'm a vampire guy, so I've read more pirate books than I've ever wanted to try to piece together a factual story about pirate lore. So when we get up there, the worst case scenario is that you guys learn a hell of a lot of things about pirates, because this is a hit or miss location. It's going to be nothing at all or a bunch of stuff. So we're going to see what happens up at that corner, and other tools that will pass through there. So we're just going to sit out there. Anything going on with your devices before you move this space. I've heard that thing go off like 15 times. Anything? Not spelling anything at all?
Fresh, perverse, memory, doom, diplomatic.
Yeah, I got nothing.
Sounds great to me though, I'm on.
And any readings coming out of yours, it's probably coming from the building anyway, because I've seen yours is at a steady yellow.
Yeah, it's been that way since we turned the corner.
Because we got some electricity still running in a separate building, so.
Like if someone's a pervert.
Oh, ew.
I haven't made something.
Much better than the almost full moon next to it. You guys all hear that cheesy clapping going on over there? Yeah. I'm going to tell you what they're doing. So I just happened to glance at the time, which I don't normally do because I don't time this, but figured, we got some extra bits. So let's have some fun with this. I'll tell you what story they're telling over there and why they're all clapping. So, anything come up on spirit boxes along the way? Did you guys heard, seen, anything?
Am I supposed to have it on?
Your discretion, your tour.
Oh.
So.
I heard dream.
Dream. Remind me to write that one down. That's interesting. So there's two different sides to the cemetery. I'm sure you guys all noticed St. Philip's, the big giant steeple. So there's two different sides. The reason I like to point that out is because the eastern side is for native Charlestonians only. So Charles Pinckney, the husband, and Charles Pinckney, the nephew, are both buried on the other side because they're from here. However, on this side, we have John Calhoun, your 7th Vice President. He's not from here. And they actually shifted his sarcophagus several times trying to figure out where the hell he was supposed to go. Turns out he just lived here a very long time. He's not actually from here. This side of the cemetery is usually open to the public because there's a vice president in there, so feel free to visit them during the day. We do get clues from Calhoun from time to time. It doesn't happen often, usually in the month of March, just because he was born in March and he died in March. So again, we don't get a whole lot, but we do get things from time to time. The story they're telling over there is because there's a sign inside the eastern side of the cemetery that basically states there's no ghost here but the Holy Ghost. There's a reason for it. 1888, a young lady dies by the name of Sue Howard Hardy. Now, we just talked about initials with Ralph Isaacs over there, so initials actually mean something, and it shows up here often. Sue Howard Hardy. You guys get it now? Cheesy, campy, I know, but it shows up, and I can't help but talk about it. But anyway, she dies 6 days after her stillborn child. So in 1987, a local photographer was taking pictures of all of our cemeteries, putting a book together, and he captures a full apparition. I let them have that story because it's their one show and tell, right? So the apparition, however, he was sent it over to Kodak because it's 1987. I don't think I have to explain what Kodak is, except for maybe to Joy. But Kodak, he sent it to them, and they don't know what to do with this picture either. So the picture is evidence in bold for guys like me, but the picture is cursed to females. So females that handle it, even in a digital format, are said to get the same symptoms we talked about back at Big John's. So headaches, nausea, dizziness. Pregnant females are probably not going to have a good pregnancy. That's why I don't pass out the photo, or I'm going to go around and show everybody the photo, because I'm not going to have a couple that has a great vacation, and 9 months later I curse your family. So, yeah, exactly. I do this for a living, guys. I'm very professional about this. So, let me show you the photograph, and then we'll get started with the whole Anne Bonny thing. But I wanted to tell you, like, why they're across the street and what they were actually talking about. So, this is the full photograph that he took. Your apparition is right here. You're looking at a woman praying over her own grave with a baby basket next to her. Yeah, and this is another instance where the baby is probably buried with mom. So you can see where this.
Did they do that often?
What's that?
Bury the children, with the parents.
So I go through the records of St. Philip's, and I found no evidence of this baby whatsoever. So again, I dove into it. I was trying to find the census records so I can see where they lived. That kind of mentality. I can't. The census records for that year are lost. Of course they are. So it's a matter of, like, when I dive into this stuff, I dive in. Like, I want to know specific things.
Sure.
So again, so shoulders, the baby basket is usually what everybody misses out of that photograph. When you zoom in even closer on a computer screen, you can see the weaving on that basket. Like, it's detailed. So again, this is undeniable what this actually is. But for guys like me, like, this is gold. So, but again, I don't pass it out. Nobody's gonna get a Kurt's family for me. All right, so let's talk about crazy pirates. Where are we and why are we here? We're at the Powder Magazine. You guys, I'm sure you noticed the little crosses on the side of that building there. Those aren't crosses. Those are earthquake bolts. If you're unfamiliar with earthquake bolts, they're basically turnbuckles that run through the building. If we have another earthquake, which we haven't, you can turn those turnbuckles, and it's supposed to straighten the building up from any damage that incurred. However, it's a stupid idea because it doesn't work.
I was going to say, does that work?
No. You know what's funny is I had literally a full group of 10 2 nights ago, and both groups were from California, and I'm over here trying to explain earthquake bolts to them, and they're all laughing at me. I'm like, oh, shit, you guys are from Cali. Why the hell am I doing this part? But at any rate, the reason I bring this up is because that's the first set of earthquake bolts that Charleston put in, because this is the oldest government building in South Carolina. It was finished in 1713. We are here because this is a familiar time to when Anne Bonny came here to start her pirate career. So we also talked about the Charlestown walls earlier when we were back at Lodge Alley. I'd also like to point this out because it just kind of gives you a perspective of why it's here. The walls actually ran up Cumberland, right where that garage is sitting, and went up past the Powder Magazine about a block and started going south behind me this way towards the water. So we're still inside the original walls, but the Powder Magazine is actually in the furthest corner that it can go, because if it gets attacked from pirates or Revolutionary warship, hard time making it this far, first off. But if it does, those walls are 32 inches thick. So if it hits it, it's going to have a hard time penetrating and blowing up the gunpowder that's inside. We're going to pretend that it does. There's sand underneath those red shingles of the roof that's designed to go up in the air with the explosion of the gunpowder and then fall to put out the fire on the gunpowder. It's another great idea, but that doesn't work either. But the sand is still there.
Yeah.
Well, the interesting thing is that the sand is still there. Sand doesn't disintegrate for one, and it doesn't get hot, and it's not compressed to be turned into glass. So the sand is still in there loose. So it's a very interesting concept. But the reason why we know it doesn't work is because we had another Powder Magazine closer to the battery. It did get hit because if you know our geography, it's much closer to the water. The sand went up, but the building burned to the ground. So it doesn't exist. This one has just never been attacked. It did serve in 7 different wars and 1 rebellion. And the Civil War was included in one of those wars that it served, and the French and Indian. Again, we're here because it's familiar. This building took 10 years to build. Does that sound like our government? Small building, 10 years?
Yeah.
No, not at all. But our story begins right in the middle of its construction. So 1708. You got something going on there?
Nope, just
So 1708. Follow me. There's a lot of twists on this one. Young lady moves here from Ireland. Her name is Anne Cormack. She's with her father and his mistress. The mistress is Anne's mother. Is everybody with me so far? The 3 of them are running away from his wife. How angry was she? Just saying, you gotta leave Ireland to come here because she's mad. So anyway, they land in Georgetown. Dad buys a plantation. Mom died pretty quickly. So that means he has to send young Anne down here to sell anything from the plantation, keep things afloat. That's why we're here. Building's familiar. But Anne back home in Ireland, kind of a badass chick. They say she actually killed one of her servants when she was only 10 or 12 years old. Right about your age, Joy. So, no. Actually, younger than you, because you're 14, right? Okay, got it. Sorry, had your numbers mixed up. But anyway, kind of a hardcore chick, and I tell you that to kind of keep the mentality of her throughout the entire story. Fast forward, building's done in 1713. Pirates are coming through town in 1715. Anne is stoked. She's going to fall in love because she wants her freedom, just like a man. However, guy number one she falls in love with. Yes, I'm going to keep tally. There's a handful. Guy number one is James Bonney. You can already see where this one's going, right? We already mentioned Anne Bonney, the full name, but Dad doesn't approve because he's a filthy pirate. They run away to Jamaica. They get married. Anne Cormac, now Anne Bonney, famous female pirate. But James Bonney is not the Captain Jack Sparrow that she was hoping for. Yeah, that's what every lady hopes for, correct? Now, this guy's a privateer. He's a spy for the British. She doesn't want this guy. He's a coward. She falls in love again a few years later. Guy number two, in case you lost track already. John Rackham, a.k.a. Calico Jack. This is literally the person that they based your Captain Jack Sparrow character off of. So, Calico Jack has his own ship and wants to be part of it. You can't put a girl on a pirate ship. Does anybody know why? Bad luck, exactly. So, he makes a deal with her. If you dress like a guy, you can be part of the crew, but you're going to be a female in my quarters. She's okay with this because Dad used to cross-dress her as a boy apprentice back home in Ireland to hide her from his wife. So she's like, whatever, it's a man's world, I'm a pirate, let's go. Now, put two and two together. Most of us are adults here. Put a female in his quarters. She's eventually going to get pregnant. You can't have a pregnant pirate dude on the crew. Somebody's going to figure out that she's a girl. Then they're going to get mad at Jack and then vote him off. However, he takes her to Cuba, drops her off, have the baby, come back later, we'll figure it out. These are friends of mine. She goes and has the baby, but returns with no baby. So we have no idea what happened to the child. There's no record anywhere. However, she's also dressed like a girl. This makes Jack pretty angry. And while she was away giving birth to his child, he captured another pirate crew. They're down below deck. Anne's going to go down flirting with that captured pirate crew to make Jack even more mad, because that's who Anne is. Guy number three. Guy number three turns out to be a female, dressed like a guy, to be part of the pirate crew that Calico Jack just captured. Then we have two females, dressed like males, on the same ship, trying to be pirates. This young lady's name is Mary Reed. She went by Mark Reed to become a pirate. Her and Mary become friends, possibly lovers, we're never going to know for sure, but the British find out where they are. They send a fleet of ships to take down one measly pirate ship, and Anne and Mary are the only two pirates not drunk enough to come up and fight with their one-bullet flintlocks, probably because they don't know how to use the cannons yet. Now, they're obviously going to get taken, because they can't take on a whole fleet of ships. So, as they're being arrested, Anne looks at her captain in bow, Calico Jack, and says, "You should have fought like a man instead of being hanged like a dog." The word dog shows up here often. It actually showed up on our way in yesterday. So I was like, oh yes, we got dogs already. So anyway, the judge, his name is Nick as well. So if you guys hear my name, it's usually relative to him, not me. But he wants to see the two men that fought back so valiantly on their own. He's already tried and hung Calico Jack and the drunk pirates. They're dead and gone. So Anne and Mary go in front. They reveal their gender, hoping to save themselves. He doesn't care that they're female. He's still going to hang them. We plead our bellies. It was the last thing they screamed out, because you can't hang a pregnant woman in 1720. It's illegal. So he sends them to jail. Delays the hanging. Dad is still here in Charleston with all of his Irish money. He bails out Anne, brings her back home. She remarries. That's husband number 2, but guy number 4, because we're going to count Mary Reed. And she has 4 kids and dies at the age of 84. Wow. Yes, very abrupt. I know, but there's not much after her pirate career. Mary Reed, she dies a year later, 1721, from whatever pirates die from in a Jamaican jail. Most articles will tell you that it was fever, but I'm going to say it was scurvous and bumpy and gross and whatever else you guys want to come up with. You guys have seen all the movies. So, 2 things I left out here. The rest of you guys all know what you're doing with your devices already, but I left out 2 things so you kind of had a Kickstarter for your spirit boxes. You can ask whatever you want to, but if you want to ask the name of Anne Bonney's parents, I left those out of my version of the story on purpose, but I do know their names for certain. So, again, you can ask what her name, their parents were named, father and the mistress, and Calico Jack's ship. So, again, those are the 2 things I left out purposely. Before we spread out, I'm going to keep you for 1 more minute. I know, you're getting antsy. You want to start filming stuff. There's a reason why I give that heated warning at the beginning. Back in September of last year, I brought my group back here, just like we're standing, and the kid next to me literally goes white as a ghost and is about to drop. So I had to pick him up by his armpit, like literally, armpit. His boyfriend picks him up from the other side. We get him over to that wall. He's feeling better after a bottle of water. You get the gist. I then tell the story that I just told you. After I spread everybody out with the devices, they pull me aside and say, "Nick, we have to tell you, we are 2 transgender males." Meaning I had 2 females dressed as males on my tour, just like Anne and Mary in the story. And it made complete sense as to why one of them passed out the minute we entered the space. These are the uncanny things I can't explain. I have no measurement of it other than my own eyes. So take those things for what they're worth. Psychics and mediums normally don't make it through this door. So they normally hit the Pinckney Mansion site with those high EMFs and they're out. They'll drop like a wet noodle. Happens all the time, unfortunately. I would say at least 3 or 4 times a year. Like that's all the time for me. So at least that's what I count as all the time. That's enough. One person is enough. So those of you with cameras, you can go to the front of the powder magazine, so you would have to exit the lot and make a left in front of those bushes. The only thing I ask is that you do not interrupt other tours, let them do their spiel and move on. If you want to go over to the cemetery across the street to get some footage of where Sue Howard Hardy was, you can do that as well. Again, that's a big ending spot for other tours. Just kind of wait your turn out. You guys all know what you're doing by now, so I'm going to go chill on the wall. I do want to know what's going on with Paul's work, like letters going on over there. You got anything?
That doesn't make any sense. I mean, it's all just random letters.
Yeah, I don't even see initials in there, so let's kind of reset it, get you a clean slate, see what we can get out of there. All right.
Wonderful.
With yours, Andrew, your device is not going to give us a whole lot of numbers.
Like 5 minutes.
Just so you get excited about it. That's part of the reason why I gave Paul the on for you as well. It is red, but in order for somebody to give us red on color, they have to touch it.
What was the name of Calico Jack's ship?
Melissa, your device. The second night I've ever had this thing. I've only had this like 2.5 months. The second night I'm collecting, I'm taking things back from everybody. The person hands it to me, plain as day. Pirate, not part of a sentence, not part of anything, a statement of one word. You got shit. And the cool thing is it was actually close enough to the thermal imaging camera where we had the audio, because yours doesn't record. So it was a matter of like, we all heard it. But I was like, do you have the confirmation? Or are you still recording? He was like, I'm still recording. So it was the coolest thing ever. That's probably the most trauma thing I've ever had.
And I'm trying to pay close attention.
She's like, that's nothing.
Chris, you got anything coming out of it? Nothing. No. You got volume?
Yeah.
Okay, and it is still sweeping?
Yep, it's sweeping.
So just right in front of there?
Yeah, so you can go right in front, get some footage.
I heard father. Can I try? Yeah. You want to try mine?
You're welcome. Yeah.
Cemetery? Yes.
Let's do it.
I thought there was a domestic going on. I thought there was a domestic going on.
Domestic.
Which which way to the cemetery?
That's on the other side of the spa here. Yeah, we can go to the cemetery. Come with us. You're not straight behind. It's a journey.
And then I told her to put that mattress out, and she was going to get herself caught.
You just heard Washington. Did you?
Washington?
So what are you listening to? It's just like going through the radio. Yeah. Like the -6. Yes. So yours records, I think.
No, I think hers records. Mine doesn't.
Is this where that picture was taken? Is that you? That's so nice. Is that your phone? Look how it changes that quick.
Any other words? Just Washington? Did you ask questions?
I did.
What is it, Calico Jack?
Children from Aunt Bonnie, one in Cuba, 4 after her pirate career. Very vague, very weak, so we struggle with the spirit boxes tonight, so I'm always honest with you guys. This was a pretty light investigation. We don't really have any true evidence other than some of the EMF readings and answers. So again, when I'm going through this, it might turn into something fantastic that you guys just missed. And it happens on occasion that I might turn it into a regular average tour of evidence. So let's go through those measly answers that I did give you for the questions. Were you guys asking those specific questions, or did you guys go rogue?
Oh, I did?
Well, first off, I'd like to point out with Anne Bonnie, this is one of the few pictures you can find of her with a shirt on. The reason for that is because she used to bare her breasts to show men that they were just killed by a woman. So I told you, she was pretty badass, right? Her hair color is red, as you can see in there, because that's the question you were focused on.
Redheads.
The name of her parents, William Cormack, Mary Brennan. You guys were not expecting a secondary Mary. So again, with that said, if we were going to get their names, they usually come in pairs. Like one person will tell me William right away, and then another person will tell me Mary right away. So once we have those two together, that's obviously a confirmation. I also like to show you Calico Jack, because that is the real person that they based Captain Jack Sparrow off of. So Calico Jack, he's named that because of the jackets that he wore. They came from the British captains that he killed. So fancy jacket, Calico Jack. That's where the name comes from. His real name is John Rackham. So what's weird is the first time I actually learned about John Rackham, somebody heard rack of ham during Christmas time on a spirit box. I'm like, I don't know what the hell that means. It turns out it's Mr. John over here. Now, the name of his ship is the Kingston. I don't expect Kingston to pop up out of any spirit boxes other than Melissa's, only because it actually picks up disembodied voices much better than the rest of yours. Kingston, the word king would suffice on any other spirit box in this kind of, situation. So that's what I would take. We don't get it very often. That's why I have you guys focus on it. As far as your data, tomorrow morning, again, I'm going to start uploading things tonight. I'm normally done by noon, between noon and 1, based on how much research I got to do. But again, don't freak out. You guys are going to be doing other things. I heard you guys like planning other tours already anyway before we even got started. I think you guys did very well. It's a matter of like you had struggled with some of the spirit box work. So that's where things are really going to come into play of what I can actually find. So remember, I don't listen to the audio. But at the top of your data page, you're going to find a few things. You're going to find the podcast of my own investigations because everybody asks about it. I don't do self-promotion. It's at the top if you want it. Then you're going to find a link to a field guide to help you with every piece of media. If you struggle with spirit box work or what to watch for in a video, the field guide will show you with evidence of what you're actually looking for. So again, check out that field guide. It's not that I wrote it just for shits and giggles. It's very useful. I've been finding out the past 2 months since I wrote it. The rest of it, I will always give you links to be able to verify everything. We're still at the beginning of the month. What's today, the 9th? Yeah, so we're still in the first third of the month, which means I separate everything by month. Your data stays on my website for an entire year. However, I put the newest tour at the top of the month. So you're going to have 21 more tours on top of yours. Try to get to it in the next few days and download it. Easiest way. Videos go to YouTube. Those are easy. Audio pieces are MP3. If you right-click them, you can download them to your computer. All of my notes that I'll type up for you, if you copy and paste them into a Word document, it'll bring the links with it. That way you guys don't have to keep visiting my website 1,000 times trying to find your data and scrolling. So again, that way you guys can keep that as your own souvenir. But again, I think you guys did very well. I don't think we had any negative Nancy's on the tour, which was super awesome. I appreciate that. I normally get one every single time. And I already told you, I thought it was going to be you. You were very quiet. You had your arms crossed. Like, I look at body language. I'm a writer, guys. I look at all of these things. And then you came up to me and you're like, what am I looking for? Like, you were stoked. I'm like, yes! So that was me excited, just so you know. Me whipping out my phone, showing him evidence from his camera that he uses. But again, as far as I was just
negative
telling
Nancy, N squared.
Or Debbie Downer. I use that in there. I use that one too. And that will actually affect the tour. I think we just kind of struggle with the spirit boxes because, again, you've never done this before. And it happens. Some people pick it up right away, others don't.
They're difficult.
They are. And what's funny is I normally give them all to the teenagers because people our age, they struggle with it. But I listen to it every morning with my first cup of coffee. So my wife is serving me my second cup as I'm still going through it. She's like, "You're not done with that yet?" I'm like, "There's a lot of shit in here." And I'm writing stuff down. And then I type it all up, and then obviously, like I said, I'm done by noon. But again, this was a lot of fun. I appreciate you guys. Melissa, you were very quiet. You're kind of creeping me out a little bit. I was expecting more out of you. But, you were like, couldn't make eye contact. I noticed that. She's like,
I was focusing. Didn't work though.
All right. I am going to get you guys my card so you guys have a way to get a hold of me. I have my email and phone number on there for those of you that didn't get a text message. It also has the website on there, so that way you guys can check it out ahead of time. But again, you guys are going to be doing other Charleston things anyway, so I will leave two with you guys.
Oh yes, me and Anthony.
Yeah, I'm just trying to figure out like how that's going to go. And then, Chris, I'll leave one with you guys. So,
thank you.
You guys seem like you were all together. All right, so let me start taking these crazy gadgets from you, and then you guys can ask me a million questions while I'm doing that, and I'll shut up for a few minutes. What do you guys got? Wow, nothing? There's no way I explained everything completely and thoroughly.
Was Vinny anybody important?
Do you have any recently deceased Italian people?
Deceased Italian people. Wow, that's really specific.
Oh, what are you doing, Paul?
I was trying to move the wall.
Yeah.
This one's not easy, so it was a
Yeah,
great
that was
attempt.
tricky.
You broke it again. Dude.